Oh, so you're asexual, like the plant. Oh, wow, haha, I haven't heard that one before. Well, you know, if you look in the dictionary, the word means plants. Actually, as of this year, 2017, the Merriam-Webster Dictionary updated the word asexual to include people and the sexual orientation, so yay!
What is asexual? Before I go into further detail about my experiences, it would probably be beneficial to explain what that term means, as some of those watching might not know. According to the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, asexual is defined as, quote, not having sexual feelings towards others, not experiencing sexual desire or attraction, end quote. That may be a hard concept to grasp, but I'll try to explain it better with this chart. This is the sexuality orientation spectrum. In the center, you have hetero and homosexual. They're paired together because their definitions are very similar. They are both only sexually attracted to one gender, albeit one is the same gender and one is a different gender. Then at one of the far ends, you have pansexual, which means that you are attracted to anybody regardless of gender. So with that logic, one could easily come to the conclusion that if there's a sexuality that experiences sexual attraction to anyone, then there's gotta be one that doesn't experience sexual attraction to anyone. That's where asexuality comes in, way on the other side of the spectrum. But not everything is as black and white and segregated like this. You'll notice that in between, there are these two sexualities that I have not mentioned. For example, in between asexual and homoheterosexual, you have demisexual, which means that you don't experience sexual attraction unless you have a very strong bond with somebody. And in between hetero-homosexual and pansexual, you have bisexual, which means you are only sexually attracted to both men and women. The more you look at this chart, the more you can see how interconnected all of us are. Despite the history of binary oppositions of straight and gay that we see in society, when looking at a little chart like this, as a spectrum, the oppositions seem to vanish.
So you don't date anybody?
No, that's not what that means. What you're talking about would be aromantic. That's a romantic orientation. So to answer your question, I do date actually, though it is hard to find someone who's willing to date an asexual. Because I don't experience sexual attraction, I don't want to be in any sexual situation. Meaning, I don't want there to be any contact between the other person and my vagina, or between myself and their genitals. My rule for dating is I don't stick my hands down your pants, you don't stick your hands down mine. Guys, as I've learned through my experiences, are not too keen to date someone if they're told right off the bat that you'll never have sex with them. Women, I can't say the same thing for, because I've never asked out or never been asked out by one before. But every guy I've told this to has said that they couldn't do a relationship like that. Or they said, oh, and just walked away, and I never heard or saw them ever again. Although that seems bad, I'm kind of glad that they do it, because to me it shows that they respect my asexuality. They aren't trying to fix me. Though, yeah, it does show that they only really see me as a sack of meat. But I completely understand that there are people who value sex in a relationship, and I respect that. Because the two of us have values that are too different, there's no point in dating that person. Also, my being in Akoiromantic doesn't help much. If I had to guess where Akoi would be on my charts, I'd say it'd be here. Because the meaning is, you do experience sexual attraction. So it would make sense to put it in between demi and hetero, since in demi you don't experience sexual attraction. Or romantic attraction for that matter. So for demi you do experience attraction, but it does not need to be reciprocated. And once it is, that attraction vanishes almost instantly. Because of this, I've never had a relationship that lasted longer than 2 weeks. In my last relationship I had 5 years ago, the romantic attraction that I had for the guy vanished after 2 days. We didn't even do anything yet. No hand-holding, no kissing, no official date. But I was no longer attracted to him. So that puts me off from getting into a relationship, because I'm scared I'll stop being attracted to them, like I always am.
So you're an asexual and you date people. Have you ever had sex?
I have.
Wait, how can you be asexual if you've had sex?
Well, asexuality is a spectrum in and of itself. And don't worry, I'm done drawing graphs. There are asexuals who are sex repulsed. They don't want to talk about sex, hear songs about sex, watch sex scenes in movies, etc. And then there are asexuals who will have sex with their partner to please them. I'm in between, more leaning towards sex repulsed. I'll talk about sex and listen to songs about sex, but I'll feel uncomfortable the entire time. I'll also never want to have sex.
But you did.
Yeah.
Why?
To be honest, I was curious about what it felt like. Short answer, not good. Having sex was my greatest regret.
But why did you say it was your greatest regret?
I feel like I betrayed who I am. By having sex, I feel like I lost part of myself. Part of my asexuality. I don't feel like I belong in the community anymore.
But you said there are aces who have sex to keep their partners happy.
But I never said they were accepted. The ace community, online, despite being filled with loving and accepting people, have those loud haters like every other community does. To them, only 2 types of asexuals are accepted. The pure virgin asexuals, who have always known that they were asexual and have never had sex and never will have sex. And then those who didn't know that they were asexual, so they did have sex. But once they discovered that they were ace, they never had sex after. Those who still have sex despite being asexual are shunned.
That's dumb. Why do you care?
That's a good question. I think the answer is that I don't care what they think, but instead care what I think. I think that I made a terrible mistake that still haunts my thoughts to this day. I think it shows a lack of conviction on my part. Like, how can I say that I'll never have sex and then let my curiosity get the better of me and have sex anyway? It makes me feel like I don't know myself at all, and I hate that. Because I do know myself. That's what's so frustrating. I already knew that I was 100% asexual before I had sex. And afterwards, I knew I was 1,000,000% asexual. I say now that I'll never have sex again, but will I? Will my dumbass follow through on that plan? God, I hope so. For the sake of this documentary, I told you my story. Even though I'm still worried that this is still too much like a confessional, what with me telling you my greatest regret, I'm glad to have gotten it off my chest. But know that this was a one-time thing. Once I leave this room, and somebody asks me, "Have you ever had sex before?" I'll answer, no. Because if I can trick the world into thinking that I've never had sex, maybe I can trick myself into believing it too. I found a cat while filming! He's so cute. Hi, buddy.